It wasn't fun anymore. I didn't feel like he looked at me the same way.
I didn't want to be at home. I'd rather be out with my friends than home with my wife.
The honeymoon was over. In the beginning, Tripp and I had a lot of fun. It started out great.
And we were inseparable. We went to parties, we traveled the country, we went on vacations together, we had adventures.
It seemed like he woke up every day just to see how happy he could make me.
And I found myself in a whirlwind of emotions, in love with a woman that I had just met.
So we hurried into everything in the beginning because we were head over heels.
Mine and Morgan's relationship was quick. We didn't spend much time dating. We spent even less time engaged. We got married quick.
We had a beautiful wedding.
Morgan and I had what I would like to think is the wedding of her dreams.
A beautiful honeymoon and had so much fun. We went to Disney World.
We had a great time.
When we got home and the honeymoon was over, the honeymoon was over.
It felt like I woke up from a dream. It felt like I was now in a situation where I had no business being.
Reality set in. Real life happened. And it was a slap in the face to both of us.
I wasn't responsible enough to take care of another person, or less myself.
The communication was lost between us.
I failed bigger than any other time in my life at marriage. I didn't have a job. I couldn't pay our bills. And my wife, the woman that I was supposed to have taken care of, is now working and I wasn't.
I ended up finding a part-time job, so I was working and he was staying at home.
And that took a big hit on my pride.
A college graduate that wasn't working, couldn't find a job.
And we were lucky enough to find a small apartment that my grandmother had.
Teeny tiny, where there was no way to get away from each other.
And I went from having all this time for myself to choose what I wanted to do with it, to finding myself responsible for another individual.
On the weekends, we were just partying. During the week, we were roommates that didn't even really enjoy their time together.
I was a very selfish individual. I did what I wanted. I got what I wanted.
The marriage got so lonely. I remember I would tell him that I was lonely. I would ask him how I could fix it.
I was too emotionally wrapped up in myself that I couldn't set aside my desires to give my family what they deserved.
So I began to think of maybe God wouldn't want me to be in a marriage that made me unhappy.
I was in denial. I was in denial of how bad our marriage was.
I told Tripp, when we decided to make plans for our future, that I had thought of divorce.
I remember it hit me like somebody had punched me square in the mouth.
I could tell it hurt him, and he seemed shocked.
Right there, it opened my eyes.
It crushed him, and he reached out to his mom. And she then called me up and wanted to have lunch the next day.
I got down on my knees and I started praying.
She took me to the Christian bookstore and she bought me a marriage counseling session for us to do at home. And so we did that together. Tripp really loved it.
And I hated it. It was the most awkward time with my wife ever. It forced me to communicate with her, and I hated it.
It opened up a little communication for us.
So Morgan began this campaign of churches. She would bring me brochures or video or Facebook pages of churches.
I needed a church. I wanted to find a church.
One day in the campaign, I began to look on Facebook. I don't remember what church we were looking at, but I was looking at different churches, and there was a friend of mine who had posted a video of Watts Bar.
When we walked into Watts Bar, it felt like home, and Tripp immediately connected. I could see that in him, that he was relaxed and he was at home.
The music was spot on, the preaching was directed at me, and everybody was friendly.
Once we started attending Watts Bar, we quickly got involved. That's when I saw a big change in Tripp.
And as we were leaving, I got stopped by Bob. And Bob asked a question that I probably will never forget. And he asked, "Where do you go to church?" My immediate response, without even thinking, was, "I guess we go here now." And I remember saying that and thinking, wow, maybe I do go here now. Maybe I am a part of this church.
He was involved in his church, serving, and his heart began to change. He was putting God first and his family.
I had the most amazing gift in salvation and in my family. I know that PK says this a lot, and you kind of really just don't think about it until it actually happens, but we live life together. You know, we're a bunch of messed up people, and we live life together. We live to the fullest. We make mistakes. We love. We fight.
It has brought a connection for us with the people we serve with, and deep friendships.
My name is Tripp Geiger.
My name is Morgan Geiger.
And this is our story.